this is the 6th edition of Cool Down, which will be entitled Sacred Transformation. Sitting here to my left are two of the board member volunteers of the Sacred Transformation, Denise and Dennis. And I'd like for you to tell me a little bit about yourself, Denise, and why you decided to join in with this organization.
Thank you very much. I'm an artist and an art therapist, and it's a unique privilege for me as an artist to work with people who are in a position where they're transforming part of their life, specifically art that they've had made on their body, and they're transforming that to a new, more productive part of their life.
Thank you. And Dennis, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you joined in this organization, how you came to it?
Well, thank you very much. I'm intrigued and fascinated by the whole idea that Eric explained to me, that he wanted to help people recreate their lives. That's the way he phrased it for me. And I think it's intriguing that you can add a spiritual element to this. And I think that's one of the things that drew me to Eric and to what he was about to get me involved in.
Thank you, Dennis. And I particularly appreciate your coming out tonight on such a wintry Chicago evening, so thanks again. I wondered, have you seen, pardon me, any of the beginnings or the endings of some of the tattoos that have been done? I know that Eric also works on burns and scars as well as tattoos. And that to me is fascinating. I don't know if you have any knowledge of that as well. And if you could tell me a little bit about the types of things you've seen or that you know has happened to the people as a result of making this change of a tattoo that maybe has some hateful characters and burns that have to be changed so that they can live with what they see. So could you, either of you, give me a little insight to what you know or some of the stories you've heard or seen?
Denise could probably do more than I can.
Sure. The significant part of this program is indicative in the name, transformation, and there are a lot of reasons why people choose to either reinvent themselves in life or evolve from some part of their life that was less productive for themselves, less productive for society, and we all as human beings go through life and make mistakes. Something that feels right at a time may feel very different as we learn more about ourselves, learn more about the world. And in many cases, clients that participate in sacred transformations are trying to change parts of their life that may be now emblazoned on their skin. As you mentioned, it can be something that is a negative image. It can have social repercussions. It can be related to a gang experience or a lifestyle experience, a prostitution experience, typically something that's violent. And someone works very hard to change their life in aspects of family, career, different activities in society, and sometimes even changing all of the circumstances and behaviors of our lives. If there's a visual reminder that's still emblazoned, that's still in our skin, that can, in a sense, be an anchor, something holding a person back. So I think that kind of describes the nature. And as you described, sometimes it could be burns, it can be something, it can be physical marks, scars from an operation or an unfortunate experience. So it might not be something that the person deliberately chose to do. It might have also been something that happened to them. And it's very powerful to be able to not just mask that out, but to work with it with the acknowledgement that everything we've been through is part of us, it's part of our experience, and we evolve through it, we grow through it. And so the concept of sacred transformations seeks to help the person identify new imagery or new symbolism that speaks of the life that they now have, the life that they have evolved into, and works with the previous image on the skin to evolve it into something that they can be proud of, something that's indicative of who they wish to continue being in the world. The positive experiences, the positive activities, family, spirituality, community, and those types of things. And it takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage for somebody to come forward and acknowledge and move forward.
You're so right. Eric was quite a visionary as far as I'm concerned, and I know that he's been working on trying to recreate tattoos that have been in existence, and with that they create a new life, and that's quite amazing. I never have heard anyone else who was such a visionary to consider that as a possibility. I know we met just this evening and when we were all out to dinner, so it's been a real eye-opening from all of you, and I know how much this seems to mean to you all, and I know that you're all very spiritual people. And I was looking at the sacred, what I call it again, the sacred transformation, thank you, just the application that is filled out. It shows me how much thought is going out to the individual, and I believe Eric said many hours are spent working together so they find their ground and what they're comfortable with, and to create a tattoo that's totally comfortable with the individual. So he is so passionate about what he's doing.
It's an important part of the growth process.
Yes, and he's also a psychiatrist that does work in art therapy at Cook County Prison, I know, and so I'm sure he brings a vast understanding with him, and they're very fortunate indeed to have such an amazing man working with them and for them.
But he takes the individual very seriously, and I think he looks at this as a process, not just an act. And the process can be complicated. It can involve, as Denise said, so many different elements of their life. And so Eric treats it with respect and dignity, and gives people a chance to seriously consider what they're about to do and the effect that it could have on their life. And I think that's a good approach when you consider how powerful some of these things have been in their life in the past, and how these changes will be powerful, equally as powerful for them in their future.
It really is blows my mind to think how many people there are that don't know about it, but who have. You know, how long has this organization been in existence now?
It's been evolving and growing, developing over the last couple of years, but it definitely has grown exponentially. As you said, people tend to be amazed, first of all, to find out that an opportunity like this exists. With other processes like laser tattoo removal can be extremely costly, it can be very painful, and it can require multiple treatments. And it is about kind of disguising or covering up. Eric's program, Sacred Transformations, is uniquely empowering to the individual because it is about taking charge and ownership of the imagery that we wear, and moving forward with pride. And most notably, the service is free to the individual, to the client who participates, and there's not a lot of help and support and service that anyone can find nowadays that's free in our society. And it's an important part of Sacred Transformations that this opportunity be available across the board to people regardless of their financial assets or lack thereof. And so the organization of Sacred Transformations has grown with the help of a lot of people jumping on board the development of an actual board for the organization to try to bring in support, and support seems to come when people hear about the program. It comes in many different forms. People make donations in kind, of service, of resource organization, and in some cases funds or materials.
And that's great. I understand you now have a board of about 5.5 people, as Eric was saying.
And growing.
And growing, I'm sure. Well, considering it's been just going for less than 2 years, I think you've done a remarkable job, and I'm hoping that we can be part of spreading the word and letting people know you're out there and available. And I want to thank you so much, both of you, for coming here tonight. And can I have a hug, Ken?
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Marion.
Thank you
Getting
for the
word out.
encouragement, the exposure.
Sure. It does hurt, but not unbearably so, and it actually, the hum of the tattoo gun and the pain kind of blurs together, and it's almost it's almost weird. You don't feel the pain after a while. So.
What else would you like to tell us about the tattoo, about removing it? How do you feel? How do you feel about it?
I'm very grateful to have this phase of my life put behind me. It was a constant reminder every time I took off my shirt that I used to be basically a big jerk, that I was a hateful, racist person, and it just followed me everywhere I went. And so to say it's a relief is definitely an understatement.
What was wrong with the tattoo that you had on?
Well, it was it was a swastika, so it was very offensive to nearly everyone that saw it, including myself. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
Well, why did you put it on in the first place?
I believed passionately when I was 14 years old that this is the way I would be for the rest of my life, and as everyone knows, your opinions about life change a little bit from when you're 14 to 30. So I've been away from the association of Nazis and skinheads for a long time now, 17 years. So this 15 years now I've been away from those people. So this has been stuck with me and been a constant reminder the whole time.
And Eric, could you tell us exactly what it is you're doing right now? What is that you just put on the tattoo?
A little bit of A&E ointment. Just keeps the skin moist. Helps the skin to accept the ink rather than reject it.
And what is the design you're doing?
A mermaid, minus the fishtail. I really like the design. I found it in a library book and submitted it to Eric. Eric passed it on to, who did you pass this one on to, Eric? Denise. And she manipulated the design to fit over the existing tattoo. And we started on it. It was, I had an upcoming appointment and didn't know quite what to do, and as soon as I saw this, it jumped out at me as something I'd like to have. So that's how we came to this point.
And Eric, how long have you been doing this type of work?
About 2 years now.
Mm-hmm. Do you like it?
Oh, very much so.
I hear it's a sacred mission for you.
Yes. Yes, it is. For me, and I really like to thank everybody involved, and I think a good question for you to consider asking Phil here is, what was it like, the process? So maybe you want to ask him some questions.
Well, ask him
about-
that right now. Ask him the
Yeah.
question. We're rolling.
What
Go.
was it like to initiate the process with Sacred Transformations? We talked a little bit about that at the dinner, and then maybe kind of just through the motions of having three pieces transformed now. The difference between a transformation and a cover-up.
Well, let's see. We'll start at the beginning. I came across Eric's name in a local paper that he was doing this kind of work. I called him, and he told me what the program expected out of me, which was he wanted basically. I gave him my life story. I told him where I'd been and where I am now, and we had several conversations before my first appointment here at Southside Tattoo. And it was, it's not just like you could call Eric and say, hey, I don't like this, I want to have it changed. He really wants to know something about you, why you got the tattoo in the first place, how it's adversely affecting your life now, how having a different image will make your life better. And it's quite a process. From start to finish, Eric's very involved and wants to know, why is this going to be better than what you had before? So he expects a lot out of the participants of the program. You really have to pour your soul out a little bit to receive this work. And the difference between a transformation and a cover-up is when you cover up a tattoo, generally it's people don't put a lot of thought into it. They say, oh, I don't like this, so I'm going to get this. Well, what happens if you don't like the second one? You know, you could end up being burned twice. Be quiet here for a second so I don't move too much from Eric.
He's doing a great job.
Thank you. And the transformation, you really have to, I don't know if convince Eric's the right word, but you really have to make him feel that this is going to better you as a person, as opposed to just, oh, I don't like this tattoo anymore, I want something different.
And how have you become a better person?
Well, I think, not to say, I think I was an okay person before we changed the tattoos, but I'm not ashamed anymore when I take my shirt off in front of my son or my wife. I'm ashamed of this horrible past I had, and I don't have to worry about this summer, going swimming at the beach and worrying about a fist fight because somebody doesn't like my tattoos. It's going to be such a relief just to not have that to worry about constantly. Oh, I got to pick a certain time to go to the gym because the locker room will be packed while I'm there. Things like that. So.
Can you tell me something about this place, the Southside Tattoo Parlor? How is it a distance from where you live?
It is a distance. I live in Roscoe Village, so it's quite a drive to come down, but I gladly do so. Mm-hmm. Everyone here at the shop has been very accepting of me and of the transformations that I'm receiving. So I have nothing but great things to say about everyone here.
And you told us earlier in the evening that it was a largely African-American population in the shop.
And clientele. And when I first started coming down here, of course, I was when Eric would be doing the work, I was very self-conscious, to say the least, because, the other artists in the shop want to see what's going on, and here they are. Here I am, this guy with, basically racist Nazi slogans on me, receiving what amounts to free tattoo at their parlor. It's just amazing to me that they would extend themselves to me in that fashion. It's really great what they're doing here. Without prejudice, anyone can qualify for this program and do this.
So how painful is this? You don't look like you're in pain, but
Again, it's a little painful, but you think about something else when it's
Good
not
for
so bad.
you.
Is it like going to the dentist?
I think of it like getting stung by a wasp, maybe. That's kind of what it feels like.
You've had that experience?
I have, yeah.
So bad.
It only hurts when he's doing it. When he's finished, there's no residual pain.
So in a sense, it's almost like getting a, what do you call it, when they get the needles where you're
Acupuncture. I would imagine it's a tad more painful than that, but not too much. Well, a pretty typical story of kids that join gangs. I had no parental supervision, so that led to running around late at night, and I found a group of people that accepted me, and I thought it was great. I had older men as father figures that took me under their wing, so to speak, and
made you feel at home,
made me feel important, and I went, I found people that cared, and so I went after it wholeheartedly. Hence all the tattoos. You want to get the tattoos so that you're accepted by your community. That's why people get tattoos, I guess, because they want to be accepted by the group that they're hanging out with. And unfortunately for me, it was the wrong group. And I got into quite a bit of trouble with them, with the law, and had to spend a brief time in a youth detention center where I was definitely in the minority. It was around 85% African American. And I managed to be accepted and make friends in that community, and it totally changed my whole perspective on how I felt about people. So when I came out from that, I distanced myself from the skinhead organization and started. That's not to say I didn't struggle with many other things after that. Just because I removed myself from that environment, I still had no structured family, no education, so I battled with drugs and things off and on. And somehow managed to pull it together. The most important step, I think, though, was putting this aspect of my past behind me and leaving the hatred behind.
What type of work do you do these days?
I'm a wine buyer for a large wine retailer in Chicago.
So you've taken a giant step in being a productive citizen and being able to work and have a family. That was
That's where I
quite
am now,
amazing.
and still striving to do more. So
I'd like to ask you something, if I may, and if you don't want to answer anything, just wave me off.
Okay.
You mentioned that you had no structure with your parents, and was it more than that? Was there
abuse?
Was there abuse, verbal or otherwise?
My mother was a drug addict, and so she, to pacify me, when I turned 12 or so, started sharing her drugs with me. So yeah, I definitely think that was a form of abuse.
1 year.
So yeah, I got early drug history, and an interesting point is that the people that I was running around with when I got these tattoos, they don't do drugs. That's a big no-no for them. And so that was kind of an escape, not only from my parent life, which was my parents, which were so screwed up, but it was an escape from drugs too. So everything happens for a purpose, because this got me, running with these people got me away from drugs, which cleared my mind enough to start seeing things a little bit differently. So everything happens for a reason. It led me to here.
Yes, and when you were living at home before your mother started to give you drugs to pacify you, what was your father an influence? Was he around?
My father has been in prison since I was born, so
Okay.
he's still there now.
Okay, and how did that affect you with other kids, other families? Was there bullying or nastiness or things that were said to you that were?
Yeah, I had my school performance was poor, to say the least. and just generally didn't care about anything. I had nothing to be happy about. It was just, was a pretty depressed kid.
Yeah, no friends, or they were bullied, or were you bullying them, or what was going on?
I wasn't bullied because people were always intimidated by me for some reason, even though I was a small, scrawny kid. I think they knew that underneath it there was something going on, so no one really ever picked on me. I was just shunned. I didn't have anything, so just kind of on my own.
So silence can be in a way, a stronger enemy
Absolutely.
than words that are nasty. What is your take on that?
Well, if you're suffering, you should remain silent. In hindsight, I wish I would have spoke up to a school counselor or somebody and said, my life is completely screwed up. Please help. Maybe someone would have, maybe not. I feel like all the signs were there. Someone should have maybe stepped into that role, but they didn't. So, yeah, silence definitely. If you're suffering in silence, it's going to lead you to act out in inappropriate ways.
This is what's happening over and over again. I think of road rage.
Absolutely.
People who go to school suddenly start to kill or shoot. I mean, so there's always some kind of a reason, and usually it's a self-esteem because of what's going on around them. That you have no safe haven.
That was another. I had never known what self-esteem was until I started hanging out with the members of the gang.
Yeah.
And it gave you a sense of. You are important. You make the difference.
And we all need that.
And you're going to save the future. And I'm like, wow, really? Me? I didn't think I was capable of doing anything. So I think the bigger message is a few words of encouragement, whether they're from a positive influence or a negative influence, can make a world of difference. And I think if I would have had someone there that would have just given me the same courtesy that the gang did, then I probably would have never had any reason to go to these people. So
words can hurt and words can destroy.
That's absolutely right.
It's a powerful, powerful thing. You have no other relative or anybody who knew what was going on that could be there for you?
Lots of my entire family struggles with addiction and poverty and a poor area in the South. So I was raised off and on by my grandmother, but she was poor, and I had my mind made up about the way things were going to go, and she couldn't stop me. So, it took the state to step in to stop me. So, being arrested and things like that. That's what it finally took for me. I didn't want to live my life like that.
No. Do you believe in God, or you do not believe?
I do. I'm Catholic, so not a very integral part of my life right now, but I'm trying to make it more so.
Yeah, because quite often if you find yourself in a group, a positive group, you can find a source of peace and comfort and develop a new peace within. And you've done a remarkable job so far.
Well, thank you.
And things happen in stages.
Sometimes way slower than we want them to. So
Always.
The more that we do here at Sacred Transformations on my tattoos, of course, the more I want, because I see how beautiful they're becoming, and the other ones that I still have, I wish that could be done tomorrow. But that's not the way life is. So.
By the way, I'm amazed at how really beautiful this is, Eric. And to be able to do the delicate work and the shadings and the nuances that are coming off of this, it is an amazing thing.
And by the way, the mermaid, where did you said you got the idea, you had seen it in a book. What kind of book was it, and why did it impress you?
I really love the sea, and I love and it brings me a great deal of tranquility to be near the ocean. And I was trying to think of
Bless you.
there's so much work to be done on my back. I wanted to have a solid theme throughout, so I picked the nautical theme, and we're going to continue that, I think, throughout. So that was, and I thought the lady was really pretty.
Yes, she is. I hope your wife won't be jealous.
She's a hard one to make jealous.
Were you able to shoot the other side of his island or not?
I can do that.
And
I could turn.
Here, let me more of your... Okay, what does that say on the bag?
It said "Hail Victory."
victory.
Ah, okay. In the front of you, you've got a tattoo on that too, right?
Yeah, just some bad designs and more gang-related tattoos.
And the only way we would get there is if we put something in front of his face.
No, I'm not taking his face.
No, I'm saying, oh, okay. You're aiming it low?
I'm doing my best. Yes, I think I got maybe your face like a tiny bit once.
I'm okay.
Okay, if you're okay with that.
You can edit it out.
Yeah, exactly. Very small amounts. And if you want to show the front, too, I won't get your face in.
So we have many more ugly mistakes to fix.
Well, you have a lot of courage. And you really
Well,
do.
thank you.
Fresh face color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's certainly a lot prettier now.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
lot more artistic.
A couple of the comments, just to kind of go back, and I know you have some questions you want to ask, but just to expand a little bit on some of what's been said. Sacred Transformations is committed to providing an opportunity for individuals who've been scarred, marked, burned, or tattooed in some way where their body carries a mark that they are unhappy with. Marion, you asked me about scars the other night,
Yes.
and I was on a big walk, so I was a little winded.
About the willows?
Yeah, and someone with an existing scar doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get a tattoo on the scar. In the instance I share with you, a young lady, not so young now, but as a young lady, had a scar on her abdomen, and she carried that scar in a way that really helped her to feel ugly because of the circumstance that was related to getting it. So her association with it always was a state of being unhappy because she related it to this circumstance, this incident, this thing that happened when she was young. And she approached us and filled out an application and went through the whole process. And the evolution of that process is really important. What's happening right here tonight with the tattoo being done is not the end, and it's not the beginning. It's a part of that process. And up to this point is very essential. The dialogue between the artist, in my case, being the artist that's executing another artist's design, for the client to really do the research, to really understand what it is to research the iconography of their people, the blood that they carry in their veins, the history of their genealogy, and to take the best of that if they feel comfortable with that, to work with that, and if they don't, what it means to appropriately appropriate other people's culture. So an example of that would be someone just wants a yin and yang symbol, and they say, well, I just want this thing that's divided. They don't really understand what that is. We're not going to do it for them. It's not to say we won't do it for them, we will, but we want that client to really do the work, and that's what he was talking about earlier, of going to the library, really doing the research, tracking down what it is. And then once they do that, we provide them with an iconography report, which is an exhaustive, nearly exhaustive report about the images that they've chosen. And maybe that's something you could pick up on a little bit, and I'm going to get back to work and talk a little bit about those iconography reports, which is, again, a really important part of the process.
Okay, and I noticed your application, which I talked to the board members about before, and I was really impressed with the questions and the allowing them to express themselves from so many different levels for you to get a true understanding of the person that you're dealing with and that individuality that you've spearheaded because of your passion and your knowledge, and you've put them together into a very, very meaningful program. And I'm also impressed with your board members and their passion for your program here in the Sacred Transformation. So I want to thank your client deeply for allowing us to do this along with you, and I'm amazed how far he's come. And
There's lots more to do. There'll be check back, because there'll be a lot more done shortly. Eric and the board and everyone has big plans for this program, and I think it's really gonna happen, because it's just so important to help people put traumatic experiences behind them. You have to put those things behind you if you're going to move forward in life. And if you have people that are being released from jail or whatever their circumstances, and they're covered in gang tattoos, or they're unacceptable by society's standards, then they're just going to continue to fail and fail and fail. And there's nothing else like this out there. I know. I've done the research. I've looked, and what Eric is doing here is truly original.
And how did you find out about this program?
He was on the cover of a local Chicago paper, The Reader. Him and his tattoo machine. He had a van that looked like the Mystery Machine.
I saw a picture of it.
I thought, who is this weird guy? What's he going to do for me? I'll call him that. Maybe I'll get some discounted rate tattoos or something, And I had no idea it would take the application process, and Eric is. You really need to get across to him what you want before he'll do it, and that's great. I'm really happy with that.
How do you feel about, is this your first time that he's working on you?
I have two other that he's already completed on my legs.
Oh, okay.
And it's just, already, I could wear shorts this summer because they covered those two tattoos.
And you
transformed
found
those two tattoos.
And you found freedom to be able to do something.
I always could wear shorts, but I had to wear socks. It looked like I had a pair of lederhosens on, because they were pulled up to my knees. But it's so grateful to know I can. It's so great to know I can buy a pair of sandals, and just little things like that I took for granted. I really had I didn't think that I would live very long when I was young, so I thought it really didn't matter too much. Kind of morbid now, but I think that's the mindset I had when I was a kid. So just go all out, live fast, die young type thing. So.
Oh yeah, that was a common thing from an old movie.
Yeah.
And Boy Zeus type, I think it was. Yeah.
So it wasn't until I really. When my head was clear enough, I could see what I'd done, and by then it was too late. There was so much to do to put it behind me. It was just so discouraging. When I would talk to tattoo artists, the going rate's between $60 and $120 an hour for tattoo work. Well, when you have as many as I do, that's a lot of work, and that's a lot of money. And who knows if it would have been years, maybe a decade, before I could have got all this behind me. It would be very depressing to think I would be turning 40 with all these tattoos on me. So,
And how old are you now?
30 now. So.
And you've got a young child.
I have a 3-year-old son, yes.
And so you don't want to pass that legacy on.
Correct. I wanted to get it done before he's of the age to go to school and figure out what his dad has, and ask, make assumptions that that's how he's supposed to feel because his dad is tattooed like that, even though, that's certainly not preached in my house. And I'd like to think that he would know better, but, kids are impressionable and you never know.
The one thing is, but you have a story to teach them as you go on, as you get older, about there will be, because of your experience and if you're truthful as you are with us tonight, you can maybe keep your son from going the path of those before you. You are in the beginning.
I can already tell that he's way different than I was at the same age. So So it's good.
Because,
Good all the work I
yes.
put in. It's really good to see it. See it shaping him in a positive way, you know.
Right. And and I think it's very important that that you choose your words kindly. And some people go into words like, oh, you're stupid, that's stupid, blah, 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 and nasty things. So when that happens, you have no esteem. And so, you know, better to have the kind words on your lips to think about what you need to be and do and say to your child as he's forming. And you have that power to do so.
Well, we could all remember that a little more, you know. So, you know, some days with the 3-year-old are more difficult than others, but I try and always keep a positive, happy attitude around the house.
Listen, I know, that when I was raising my children, I used to holler. My mother hollered, I hollered, and I yelled, and my kids would say, "Mom, stop yelling." And I'd say, "What do you mean yelling? This isn't yelling." And then I'd go up a few more notches, you know. And one day I learned that that was abuse. I loved my kids to pieces. I did all the good things with them. I hugged them. I kissed them. But in between time, there's a big woman yelling at these kids, and it was devastating to them. So I heard from Charlotte, and they were discussing about what is abuse. And that was the first time that I knew that I was being abusive. And I didn't start correcting myself on that till I was probably in my 60s.
Does anyone else feel just how amazing it is that we're in an African-American-owned shop, and here I am with these racist tattoos being interviewed by a Jewish woman? Mm-hmm. Is this how...
this is the beauty of what life should be.
You're absolutely right.
It is what we're supposed to be about. You can have your own beliefs, but you find the commonality of work on the things we're alike and allow us the privilege of having our differences and our different beliefs. It doesn't mean... Usually the problem occurs when they think that unless they're exactly like you, myself, and if you're different, then they're dangerous or wrong. And life presents such a variety. So we have to allow people to be a variety. God didn't create junk.
No.
And the more we've gone through in our lives and we survive it, the more you can tell yourself, hey, look what I survived, and look at what you have done, how you have changed. And remember the good things that you have done, and there are many that you've made a life for yourself, and you're going in the right direction. One step at a time, and you'll get there. Just keep the faith. One day at a time.
Saying never goes out of style, does it? It's always relevant.
Yeah, if you sincerely feel it, yeah. Some people say they'll pray it wouldn't hurt. I may be wrong, but I don't think those are the kinds of prayers that are answered. It's the sincere, simple prayers. I believe are what the Creator looks for. And the angels and all those good things out there. But that's my belief, and I'm not here to preach religion, but I am here to preach that I hope people learn to be kinder to each other and spread good deeds, little kindnesses. And if somebody opens the door for you, holds it open, don't say thank you, but then say something besides thank you, like, that was very kind of you.
Right.
You know, so if you give a person something that they know maybe they really needed to hear that day. and you never know how you're affecting it. So everything you do spreads a good energy around you. And I wish I could talk to your father.
Well,
I'm not saying that you will. I'm saying that I really would wonder what he thinks about what he did and or didn't do, and to know how he's affected those around him. And so I'm getting the person who's been affected by him and some others. So it isn't one thing. It's a huge link. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. And if they can learn a little bit, maybe they have some hope too. Wherever they are.
Again, I'd like to say how grateful I am to Southside Tattoo for hosting Eric here, and to Eric for taking time out of his schedule to do all this for nothing. Everyone is really generous here at Southside.
Well, that's great, and I think that I've tired you enough while you're doing all this, and we at Cool Down and Universal Dream of Peace also thank you and Eric for all the time, effort, and teaching that we've learned here today, and I thank you.
If people are interested, you can contact us through the website. If you're interested in having
Emails.
work done, all our contact information is on the website, as well as the application, which is definitely an important part of the process. If you're interested in having a scar, a burn, or an existing tattoo, an existing mark transformed, just take and print out an application, fill it out completely, and as was said, sometimes completely isn't completely enough, in that we might want to have more information from you about you to really move in a positive direction for custom designing a piece for you. And, one distinction that wasn't really made earlier tonight is the difference between a traditional cover-up tattoo and a transformation. And that is, we really go through great pains in designing a custom piece that considers all the positive and negative space in and around an existing piece. For the example of the scar, we actually didn't work on the scar. We complemented the scar and turned what was a mark that was carried with a sense of shame into a mark that was carried with a sense of pride. To me, it resembled a pussy willow. So rather than to work with the existing mark, we worked with the space around it and added a butterfly that was just about to land on this pussy willow. In so completely transforming how she felt about it, how she felt people looked at it. So it became this clever thing on her. Mm-hmm. For a tattoo, and if you want to come in on this, for this design, the artist and myself and our client were very careful to really consider the positive space, the actual existing mark, as well as the negative space around it, and really create something that allowed us to use that open space and swallow up or transform the existing marks in a way that it just wasn't darker and larger.
And where was it again? You have to point that out, because
it's right in here, which is a great compliment, the fact that you're asking where it's at. Here's the swastika, and here's the H for the Hail Victory. And a client last night buried the mark of a name. You might ask where I got the idea to start this program. For 15 years, December 2nd, I've advocated and cared for the chronically mentally ill here in Chicago's mental health service program at the Cook County Jail. And during that time, I've met literally hundreds of thousands of people who have been marked in some way. And so many of them have sincerely engaged the therapeutic process of enriching their lives, of finding stability, of getting reconnected with family. However, as an artist, as an art therapist, I've seen people make that cycle, and I kept asking myself lots of different questions. How could I be more of service to my patient population? And as an artist, it became clear to me that if you have a mark that anchors you to your past, for example, a woman who bears the mark of a man that abused her, prostituted her, allowed his gang to use her as a drug mule, I don't care how sober you get, I don't care how connected you get with your God, your community, you wake up every day and you wash yourself and you've got that moron's mark on your body, you're connected to the past. And you got to have one heck of a personality to be able to disregard that. So seeing this again and again and again over 15 years, I realized tattooing was an art media, one that I hadn't engaged, but one, like many other art media, I could engage, and I could see where it would go. And I formulated the idea of committing myself to becoming a tattoo artist with the exclusive idea of offering a service to the people I had been seeing over and over again to help them transform those existing marks. So my client last night, for example, bear the mark of a person who held them at gunpoint. This is one of the lowest points of their lives, and this client has to wake up every day and wash themselves and see that name. By the time they left the shop last night, that name was gone. And it just wasn't gone with some random mark. This is an individual who's an honorably discharged naval veteran. One of the most productive points of their life was the service of others in the Philippines. And during their time with me at Cook County Jail, using our library, became very connected, metaphorically and literally, to Shakespeare's The Story of Macbeth. So all of those things, the commitment to the United States Navy, helping people in the Philippines, and the metaphor and the direct lessons learned in knowing the story of Macbeth were all incorporated into a custom design. So this is what they look at now when they wash themselves. This is what they think about. This is the story they tell. Because you got a mark like that on your forearm, everyone you talk to is going to ask you, oh, who's that? Oh, who's that? Again, connecting you and reconnecting you to one of the most unproductive and meaningless times of your life. You bear the mark, you tell the story. Iconography is alive and well through jingles, harmony, rhythm, and symbols. And people who don't think it is are being used. You're being used by all these jingles, all these images. And for individuals who carry bad marks the rest of their life, it's not necessary. Contact us, print out an application. We're happy to serve. It'll happen with no cost to you, at no cost to you. Print out an application, fill it out, mail it in, and we'll be happy to help you. And if any individuals in the community want to help the program, we're certainly growing, and we would certainly welcome the opportunity to foster positive relationships with positive people. So if you feel like you've got something to offer Sacred Transformations, don't hesitate to contact us. Again, all our contact information is on our website.
Right.
Marion, I want to thank you for your interest in the program. And I see AC over here.
Yeah, I'd like to. Would you give your name and tell us a little bit?
Okay,
My name
is Daryl AC. I'm the owner of Southside Tattoos and Body Piercings. Well, we started maybe 5 years ago in a neighborhood that didn't have tattoos and body piercings. They're mostly all up north. So what we decided was to venture south, new pioneers to come to the south side to give the Southsiders a little something that they didn't have here. Kind of like a regional monopoly. There's no one here but us. No licensed and bonded tattoo shops, mostly underground, in the basement, barber shops, and little venues around, the neighborhood. We came here, professional shop, to give, the neighborhood some of our artistic abilities. I mean, we have great artists that come from many places, from Columbia School of Design, Art Institute of Chicago, real artists that were born and raised with art in their hearts. So we decided to get together and make art.
And you've given a home to this wonderful organization, which we thank you for.
Definitely.
And thank you for the opportunity to letting us film here. It was very meaningful to us. Thank
It was a
you.
way to give back.
Thank you.
This is definitely a venue to give back.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you say that last line again?
It was a way to give back. It was a way, for us to, pay back the neighborhood for what they've done for us to allow us to be here and allow us to, put great art on people's bodies. So we would like to give it back.
This has been such an interesting, heartwarming evening of amazing people, and I hope you will all look at our websites, and I will have this show on Universal Dream of Peace website, and that will be given to you the information for that, and for Sacred Transformations we'll have their website. So I thank you, and thanks for listening.
coast to coast, from Shoshone to Sierra, Gallatin to Davy Crockett, Cherokee to White Mountain. They're more than our national forests. They're national treasures. They thrill us with towering majesty and inspire us with breathtaking beauty. They provide wood for our homes, habitat for wildlife, clean air, and drinking water for millions of us. But they are being destroyed as never before by disease and insects and devastating fires. The Arbor Day Foundation asks for your help in replanting our national forests to help restore their life-giving benefits and their awe-inspiring splendor. We'll do it one tree at a time, and the trees will become a forest, and the forests will be our future. Visit arborday.org. See what we're doing. See how you can help.